hashtag Kawamers for all our English speaking fans. Kawamers, it's a 40. That's what we call a 40 ounce. That's what we call our fans, the 40 ouncers. Thank you for being here in Nacion Fantasy. We have a very special guest. First, not one that's not very special. Rick, how you doing?
How you doing, Guga? Thank you, Jeff, for coming to the show. I'm very excited about it.
We got Jeff Haseley from Football Guys here, senior writer of Football Guys. Jeff, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on. I look forward to talking Dynasty with you guys.
There you go. We're really happy to have you here. Very honored to have someone like you here with us in Nacion Fantasy for all our fans in Mexico, Latin America, Spain, and all over the world. Jeff, please tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do over there at Football Guys.
Wow. So let's see. I've been with Football Guys since 2007, and that's a long time. But I do. It depends on the time of year. Like right now with off season, I'm doing a lot of Dynasty stuff, draft related articles. I've got a collaborative Dynasty piece that I'm working on right now with a few Football Guys staffers that I'm kind of bouncing some questions off of them, and the article kind of flows like you are having a conversation with everyone. So I mean, I might pose a few questions and have people answer them. And, of course, I'll write that up and spin it as if it's a conversation. So that's kind of a neat piece that I've got coming up. I do a lot of rankings now in the off season, Dynasty rankings, of course, rookie rankings, preparing for the rookie drafts. I do a lot of behind the scenes article tagging for Football Guys. So if you're on the website and you're on a particular player, let's just say Alvin Kamara.
Yep.
And on his player page, you can look and see what articles are written that includes him in that article, right? So, and this includes Football Guys articles as well as articles that are found throughout the web. So what I will do is I will source some articles that I've read from other websites and kind of tag those articles into the site with that player so that you can see what articles that particular player is associated with. So I'll do that a lot, especially right after the draft, because that's when things start to really heat up with articles and such, right?
Yeah.
Because the NFL you've got more clarity on NFL teams, and especially on the dynasty side. Everyone wants to talk about new incoming rookies, veterans that still have, some production with them, everything, the whole gambit. So I do that. During the season, I have my main article, which is called Fantasy Overview. And each week, I pretty much just kind of get a fantasy landscape publication, really, where I'm explaining some things like week 1, what would you expect? Week 2, what happened in week 1? What can we look forward to moving forward? Like what types of matchups would be good for this coming up week? What players are flash in the pans, which ones are here to stay, that kind of thing. It just kind of give you a little bit more of my insight into how I think the season is progressing. And each week it just becomes a little bit more, I use the word clarity a lot because we tend to get that. You don't really have a whole lot of clarity week 1, week 2. You might have a player go off for a huge game and then week 3 does nothing, right? And it doesn't give us a whole lot of clarity. So we want to be able to understand and piece together what players are contenders and which ones are pretenders when it comes to the fantasy landscape.
I love that tag, pretenders and contenders. I've seen it around, and I think it's right on point of what we as fantasy players and analysts are looking for.
And that's one thing we keep saying to the La Nación, to the Kawamers. Whatever was through last week is not a certainty next week. So you gotta keep changing and adapting, and if you stay put, you maybe have a championship team for after the draft, but you won't make it to the playoff, right?
But you know what? It's kind of like that TLC song. Don't waterfalls. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Don't go chasing points from last week.
That's right. That's so true.
Yep.
That's so true. And
That's not gonna work.
especially early on in the year. And I'll get into the waiver wire picks as well, like who you should target and waiver opportunities, especially after week 1, week 2, week 3, when it's the busiest time and the best time to spend your waiver money on players. Right now during the off season, we do a lot of collaborative pieces. As I mentioned to you, the one about the Dynasty Roundtable piece that I'm working on. But also, as free agents start to get signed on March 18th, when the new NFL season officially begins, we'll have put together some articles, and I might either put together myself or be a part of one that someone else does on staff, where we're talking about, all right, hey, based on the free agents who have signed, which ones do you think are going to have the biggest impact of players who've changed teams? That kind of thing. And then going through each of the different positions. And so there's a lot of involvement there. I'm a big part of that. I don't know, man. It's rankings, always rankings. With football guys, we also associate various different commentary with our rankings, which is great. Because if, let's just say, for example, in the rookie draft, right? Maybe I have Travis Etienne number 1, which I do. So people may want to know, well, why? Why do we have him number 1 and not Najee Harris or Jamar Chase, whatever it might be? So I have that opportunity then to explain and share my opinion on why I believe that Travis Etienne is the number 1 pick. And I can write up a kind of a commentary that's associated with the rankings. So like when you hover over with your mouse, you can read what I have to say about them. And not just me, but other people who are doing their rankings.
Are you involved in the commentary when you use the draft
Dominator?
Yeah.
Yes. So those comments are then kind of infused into the Draft Dominator. And there's a specific algorithm that determines like whose comment gets the most views or is just appreciated more, I guess, if you will, on a particular player. And that might be the comment that gets displayed in the Draft Dominator. So yeah, there's involvement there. Like I might have the highest ranking of all of the football guy staff on a particular player, and therefore I may have my comment displayed in the Draft Dominator when you're looking at that player. Okay.
Well, that's very cool. That's I envy you with good envy, Jeff, that you work at Football Guys. It's a great platform. If you guys that are listening to us don't know Football Guys, go to footballguys.com. It's a great platform. There's some free stuff, but there's also their paid memberships. They're really, really good. You can get really cool rankings, really good information, and of course, all the articles that Jeff writes all over the year. Jeff, what do you say we go right into talking about this buy now candidates for Dynasty?
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
All right. So one that I want to talk about, the first one, and I think it's one of the important ones, at least for me, it's Mr. Deebo Samuel, someone that we call in Nacion Fantasy El Deebo de Juárez. Deebo Samuel, wide receiver from San Francisco 49ers. What do you got on Deebo, Jeff?
Well, heading into the 2020 season, Deebo Samuel, after having a strong rookie year, kind of disappointed a little bit, but it was injury related.
Yeah.
Right. He started off with a foot injury, and then that turned into a hamstring injury that kind of just lingered throughout the year, and we didn't really see the expectations that we thought we would see with Deebo Samuel. And Brandon Ayuk, who was a rookie this past year, really kind of took a step forward. And I think that Kyle Shanahan's offense with San Francisco is one, I don't want to say it's plug and play. I just think that it's a kind of a system offense. If there's like one particular coach that I can say, you know what, whoever is lined up here, or here, they're going to do well in his offense just because he has that type of system coach and coordinator, if you will. So it really doesn't matter. I mean, heck, we saw running back after running back be successful in that offense, and we've seen it with receivers too, right? So it's almost like, does it really matter who is lined up.
I mean, Ricky James gave us
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
a winner.
that
You've got
Thursday
Ricky
night
James.
football.
Right, you've got Samuel, you've got Ayuk, you've got Mostert, who was, of course, he got hurt himself, but even Jared McKinnon had a decent time. Kittle and his replacement, Jordan Reed, as well as Ross Dwelly, they had some moments. But in my opinion, I'm thinking that Debo is he's not going to go away. He's definitely going to have a better year in 2021 than he did in 2020. The question is, how involved is he going to be? What's his target share going to be relative to Brandon Ayuk? And if I had to wager a guess, I'd say it's going to be, kind of similar in volume between the two. And both of them could probably have some success and therefore be fantasy relevant. And that's kind of what we're looking for. And I mentioned clarity before, right? There's a lot of needed clarity with San Francisco, but at the same time, that offense almost runs by itself. So I'm comfortable with buying a Debo Samuel, especially when his value is really lower right now. He's a decent buy low type of player.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that because I think he'll be over his Jones foot injury, right? Jones fracture injury, as well as his hamstring. And he's ready to contribute. He's still young.
1.83 fantasy points per target for Samuel and 1.9 fantasy points per target for Ayuk. It's there's really not much of a difference on that metric. And Debo, it's definitely cheaper than Ayuk.
Right. And Debo's 25, Ayuk is 22. So there's 3 years, there's 3 years difference there. And that's why Ayuk is probably a little bit more valuable as a dynasty asset. But at 25, that's still a prime year. And be able to get Debo a little bit later, if we're talking redraft right now, to get Debo a little bit later than Ayuk, because I think Ayuk will go before him in redraft. As far as dynasty is concerned, though, the value there, in my opinion, is Debo.
Jeff, now that you're talking about Debo and Ayuk ages, I'd like to ask you if you have like X amount of years window you like to have on a player, like a certainty of years you have left to receive the benefits of a certain player, or you're playing like 2 years at a time, or what's your approach on?
It depends on the position for me. I mean, with running back, I think you kind of have to have a little bit of a stopping point around that age 28 year. You don't see very many top 12 running backs age 29 or higher. And you really kind of see a peak in that age 24, 23, 24, 25, maybe 26. And that's kind of around the sweet spot that you want your running backs. And this is just based off of information and data that have been accumulated to determine like a specific player's peak year. It tends to be around that 23, 24, 25, 26 year, focusing more on the 25, 26 is kind of like the time to let go, or the time to sell high, if you will. As far as receivers, you generally, like, I would say like at age 29 or definitely 30, you want to think about, moving on. I mean, there's going to be your differences, right? There's going to be your outliers, your Larry Fitzgeralds, your DeAndre Hopkins, right? All these good, smart, talented players who've been there, done that
keep evolving and giving you great.
Exactly. So
you know what? One of the things that I think it's very important with the players that you just described is that they are very respectful with their profession, and they respect their job, their team, the whole community. So they're 30, they're 32. I mean, Brady, 42 years old and still, I know, you hate him. I don't have a comment on Brady. But still, 42 years old, still kicking ass. I mean, that's something. I mean, okay, let's say not Brady, but Breeze, he's still kicking ass, taking names. Rodgers, he's what, 38?
37 right now.
37?
He'll be 38 soon, yeah.
So, I mean, you see players at that age still at the top of their game, and you go back and see Todd Gurley at what is he, 25, 26?
Gurley, I think, is 26.
26.
Yes, he's 26.
And
by any chance, are you buying Gurley in any circumstances?
I mean, only if you can get him really cheaply. Well, first of all, he doesn't have a team right now.
Yeah.
So we don't know where he'll land, and we don't know, even if he does land somewhere, how much value is he going to have? How much volume is he going to have? So there's some concern there.
He can't handle that much volume. I mean, we saw it last year with Atlanta. He was basically goal line TD dependent for fantasy points.
Generally, if a lot of people are trying to sell a player, there's got to be some sort of a buy angle as well, because that means you can get him at a fairly cheap price. I wouldn't mind having Todd Gurley on my dynasty squad, but I'm not going to rely on Todd Gurley on my dynasty squad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, wait and see.
Okay, this is a good point where I ask you, what would you be willing to pay for Todd Gurley right now?
Oof. Would I pay for him? I would probably pay like a late 3rd round pick for him.
Okay.
Where you're in the 3rd round and you're like, who am I going to take in this rookie draft? Am I going to go with a guy like a Chuba Hubbard or Trey Sermon, the running back from Ohio State? Or would I take my chances on a Todd Gurley? And I think a lot of people would say, you know what, I'd take Todd Gurley. I don't know what Trey Sermon's going to do, especially if we don't know what team he's on yet. Once we start to get the idea of what team players are on, I think, again, more clarity, right?
Yeah.
I would say a late 3rd, maybe a mid 3rd for Gurley. I mean, you have to look at it like this. Do I want Todd Gurley, or do I want a possible pick of the players that are available in that particular time in the draft? And that's if you're trading him like during the draft. If you're going beforehand, I would definitely entertain a late 3rd. I mean, at 26, that's not 28, that's not 29. He's 26. Does he have some years on his tires? Yeah, he absolutely does.
But he doesn't have years on his knees. That's the problem.
Yeah, true. But I mean, he could serve a purpose, and potentially serve a purpose more than what you could get with that pick. So
for sure,
everyone has value. It just depends on where you are with your team in relation to a championship, as well as what you can get for that particular player, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Jeff, I want to tell you a list of players right now, and if you can help us out, Rick, please do the same thing. As far as what's your priority buy, as one will be top priority, and last of these receivers that I'm going to say, it will be the least of your priorities as far as buy right now. So we mentioned Deebo Samuel, that's one. Jerry Jeudy, a wide receiver from Denver. Van Jefferson from the Rams. Quintus Cephus from Detroit. And Mike Williams, wide receiver from Chargers. What will be your top priority from those receivers?
So we got Jerry Jeudy, Van Jefferson, Mike Williams, and Quintus Cephus. Is that right?
And Deebo Samuel.
And Deebo Samuel. Jerry Jeudy, in my opinion, I think is probably the one who is going to be able to fetch the most in terms of value. And he's someone that we haven't necessarily seen really take off yet. We definitely haven't seen his peak. I don't think. And Denver doesn't necessarily have the quarterback situation locked up that's going to maximize his value. Could they in the next couple of years? Absolutely, they could. He had a fairly decent rookie year. It wasn't flashy, but he had some plays, and he showed his ability. And when Cortland Sutton went out with an injury, I thought for sure that Jerry Jeudy was going to have a really strong year. Didn't necessarily happen that way, and I think
it was actually Tim Patrick who took advantage of Cortland Sutton's injury.
Right, exactly. And Jeudy was just kind of at first they were kind of force feeding him the ball, like week 1, week 2, week 3, and they're like, let's see what this kid can do, right? Because he came in with all these high expectations. As a first round pick for Denver, they're thinking, hey, let's get this guy going. And he kind of struggled a little bit, had some drops. Yeah. Had some trouble with routes, and that's just going to take time, right? To to learn. I mean, we've seen that before. Shoot, we saw it with AJ Brown his rookie year. He didn't really take off until like week 10.
Yeah.
We saw it with Keenan Allen, same thing, his rookie year. I mean, we're going back a few years, but kind of the same thing.
And you know what? I'm sorry I cut in. With the wide receiver, the rookie wide receivers in 2020, they had a disadvantage against all other rookies all across the years because of COVID. They couldn't have a full off season, a preseason. They couldn't have all the training that the players would usually have. They didn't have any preseason games, that's for sure. It was less training, less of all that. But I think you're correct. I think Jerry Jeudy is set up for year 2 or year 3. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and I also like Van Jefferson. I do. I think he had a really good game in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and he kind of came on a little bit strong at the end. Plus, Josh Reynolds, his competition, is a free agent this year, and he might actually go to Detroit, where there's some connection there with the GM, and therefore Van Jefferson then would get an opportunity in the Rams offense with Matthew Stafford, which is, in my opinion, a step up from Jared Goff.
Definitely.
And I like Van Jefferson. I like his ability. But I also don't rank him as valuable right now as, say, Jerry Jeudy. But is he a buy candidate for me? Yeah, he is. He definitely is. I liked Van Jefferson last year. I like his ability. I like his tape. I like his scouting. I like his pedigree. His father being in the league. So there's definitely a lot to like about Van Jefferson, and I think he gets his opportunity beginning this year.
And I think he's kind of flying under the radar, and you can take advantage of that and pay very cheap for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, Quintus Cephas.
Yes. Well, buy or sell on him? I don't know, man. He's kind of in that same,
considering today Tyrell Williams signed with Detroit.
Mm-hmm. And keep in mind, you also have Kenny Galladay, most likely going to be tagged, if not signed. I don't think Detroit lets him go because they really don't have very many options there.
No, he'll get tagged for sure. Marvin Jones, free
Marvin Jones is likely gone, right? Yeah. Cephas, in my opinion, he's kind of right in there with that. What's the guy's name? Peoples Jones.
Donovan Peoples-Jones
in Cleveland, right? They're in that same tier, I guess, if you will, with ability and possibility, but there's a depth chart in front of them that they have to conquer and hurdle.
Very small opportunities.
Yeah. So in that case, is he a good buy candidate? Sure, why not? I would rather have, say, him than like a Sterling Shepard or a Golden Tate, right? A veteran who we know what their ceiling is. And they're kind of past their window, so why hold on to them, right? I would rather have a Quintez Cephas that you don't necessarily know what's going to transpire or take place, whereas you do with like a Sterling Shepard or a Golden Tate. I think you could make that trade because people with Cephas are like, well, I don't know what to do with him. Well, it's these players like that could turn into something.
And Cephas could turn into Detroit's wide receiver too, behind Kenny G. Definitely.
Yeah, he could. He definitely could.
All right, and Mike Williams.
Mike Williams is someone that he's one of those players that has the talent, has got the ability, he's on a good team. There's a possibility there, but yet the alpha dog there is Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
And another question is, what's going to happen with Hunter Henry? Are they going to re-sign him, or is he gone? Is he gone for other options, right? Because he's a free agent. And there's also what's his name?
Tyler Johnson. Tyler Johnson.
Tyrod Johnson.
Tyler Johnson.
Tyler Johnson is Tampa.
No, there's one. It's Tyrod. I believe Tyrod Johnson from the Chargers. Yeah, he's there. And then there's another guy, Jalen.
I don't know.
It's Jalen Guyton is the
Jalen Guyton.
Tyron Johnson. That's the guy's name.
Yeah, Tyron Johnson.
So yes, there's those options as well, right? And Jalen Guyton kind of came on strong, or not, I don't want to say strong, but enough that we're like, hey, I know this guy's name now.
Yeah, exactly.
But Mike Williams has more of that talent, ability, and pedigree. As long as he can stay healthy, he's just kind of been that guy who's found an injury here and there, and that's why we're kind of like, I don't know. If he could have a strong year in terms of being injury free, I think he could be a dynasty asset with the Chargers. But you also have to keep in mind, though, that they're going to have a draft, and they're going to draft some players as well, right? Yeah. I mean, if you look at, let's see, the Chargers have, let's see, what do they have? 8 picks. They've got 2 6th-round picks, a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 2 6th, and a 7th. And they've got the 13th overall pick. Could they potentially target a wide receiver there? Or are they looking at offensive line? Are they looking at corner? So they've got some decisions that they need to make there, but you got to figure one of those picks might be a receiver that could potentially pan into something, and then kind of mix up that depth chart, if you will, for those receivers. So it's a tough path right now.
The 13th pick in this year's NFL draft, it's a very strong possibility that one of the top wide receivers are available. Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I don't know if Chargers get there and suddenly Jamar Chase is available. Mm-hmm. Do you pass on him? I mean, I know it's very unlikely that's going to happen. But
maybe Jaden Weddle sleeps.
I think Jalen Weddle could definitely fall to 13.
Yeah, is a possibility. So you have to think about these, teams and their current depth charts as they are now, right now, heading into free agency. Again, they could sign a receiver, they could wait, they could draft a receiver, and then the depth chart is completely different in August than it is right now in March. So it's difficult to kind of forecast exactly what the story is going to be for each team. So right now we're kind of, I don't want to say grasping and at straws, but we're speculating, and we are kind of using some knowledge to speculate on where we think the dynasty value of these players are. What's our perceived value of some of these guys?
An educated guess, you might say.
An educated guess. I mean, also look at Jacksonville too. I mean, they've got
DJ Chark.
Chanel. They've got DJ Shark. They also have 5 picks in the top 65. Do you think one of those might be a receiver?
It'll be a receiver. It'll be a QB and a receiver for the first 2 picks, in my opinion.
Right. So then, therefore, that kind of cloudies the picture of their wide receiver value in terms of dynasty. And of course, they're going to have Trevor Lawrence. So whoever the receivers are in Jacksonville, well, hey, guess what? You just got a bump because Trevor Lawrence is now your quarterback. At least that's the perceived value there, right? So, but we don't know. We don't know who these receivers are going to be right now in March. We'll have more, there's the word again, clarity as the year progresses.
Right, right. So are you a big fan of making roster moves this early in the season? Or you like to wait a bit more after the draft, maybe?
I think now is a good time to sell draft picks to get players that that you can contribute for you next year. And then, so sell your picks now, but as the draft comes closer, that's when you kind of want to buy picks. Or for example, how about a receiver who kind of has a little bit lower value now because he's older, he's 29, 30 years old, that you could buy now because he's got a low value. Someone like Adam Thielen. Right? Who wants Adam Thielen? They got Justin Jefferson. Why would I want Adam Thielen? Also, he's 30 years old. Well, you could probably buy him right now for a mid-second round pick, maybe. And then you could turn around right before the draft and sell him for a late first. Because someone might be in the late first and they're thinking, do I want Amon St. Brown or would I take Adam Thielen? Of course, you're going to take Adam Thielen there, right?
Yeah, because it's proven. He's going to give you a very decent amount of points this year, and you want to win your championship this year. If you're
Right.
reconstruction. If you want to plan for the future, then yeah, maybe wait for the pick.
You could considerably get a return on your investment if you traded for Adam Thielen now. Like I said, a mid or mid second or so, maybe even a late second. I don't know about that, possibly, and then turn around and sell them for more as the draft approaches, because someone's like, you know what, do I want Adam Thielen or do I want a rookie that I'm not really sure about? Guess what? And if you get that pick, you can use that pick to whatever you need. Maybe you need a quarterback, right? So you can take Trevor Lawrence with that pick. I mean, it's very there's a lot of strategy involved in Dynasty, and I don't pretend to know everything. I like to surround myself with people who do, or I perceive smarter than me. There's no problem in that, in my opinion. And there's a lot of smart people that I look up to, and I'm like, hey, what would you do in this situation? I have no problem asking people that, right? Just as someone might ask me as well. But there's a lot of strategy involved, especially in Dynasty, with picks, with trades, with combinations or package deals, that kind of thing. There's so much that we can talk about with that. But right now, I mean, I don't want to say it's a guessing game, but it's almost a guessing game with trying to trade for a particular player right now. Like, would you trade for Aaron Jones right now, or would you buy him, or would you sell him, not knowing where he's going to be? What if he goes to Atlanta? What if he goes to Buffalo? What if he goes to Miami? What's his value? Is it better than what it was this past year with Green Bay? Probably not, but he could still have some value. In my opinion, Aaron Jones is more of a sell right now, because we don't know how he's going to play. We don't know how he's going to respond to a new staff. We don't know how that new quarterback is going to use him as a receiving back.
And you can sell high right now.
And you can. Absolutely.
You can sell high right now.
If you go back, I mean, there's occasions where there's a really, really good, strong running back in the history of fantasy, and going back to Clinton Portis. All right, we're going back with Denver. And it's like, okay, if he goes and signs with another team, how are we going to perceive him? And when he went to Washington, he did fairly well, right? He did well. He did not do as well as he did at Denver, because Denver was more of a system type of offense where,
Shanahan's offense.
Right? Anyone can do well in Denver's offense as a running back, right?
Yeah.
And so there was a little bit of concern there. But, I mean, there's Marshawn Lynch going from Buffalo to Seattle. I mean, there's lots of different examples, right, of running backs who go from one team to another. Generally, that running back does not perform as well as he did with his previous team. Generally,
but there's a Marshawn Lynch.
There's a Marshawn Lynch that are.
I mean, Marshawn Lynch is one example of someone who gained value after going from Buffalo to Seattle, right?
Yeah,
right.
But generally, you're going to see a little bit of a decrease in value, especially on the running backs, especially a running back on his second contract, right?
Well, now we're talking about running backs. I want to talk about one situation that I think is very, very special, very important, since it's one of the teams that runs the ball the most. Seattle, Rashad Penny, running back. Chris Carson is most likely gone from Seattle. Seattle has Rashad Penny. They have DJ Dallas. They got Travis Homer. Travis Homer is more of a fill-in, to be honest. But what do you think? Rashad Penny or DJ Dallas are buys right now, or buy both of them? I mean, not for the same team, but try to get both of them right now. What do you think?
I'm thinking that there's going to be some sort of a veteran running back signing by Seattle. They might let go of Chris Carson, but they could particularly sign someone a little bit cheaper. Could that be Todd Gurley, maybe? Could it be Leonard Fournette, maybe?
Oh, I would love Fournette in Seattle.
Right? I mean, I could totally see Fournette in Seattle. So, I mean, there's still some value there for Rashad Penny as well as DJ Dallas. And who's the other one you mentioned?
Travis Homer.
Thank you. Travis Homer. But I do think, though, that Seattle is going to sign a veteran who will come in and kind of be that main role.
You don't think Penny or DJ Dallas have that running back one for Seattle?
I think they're more of a role niche type of running back. I don't necessarily see an RB1 from them.
Okay.
I don't. I do for Chris Carson, right? I mean, he's got the size, he's got the ability, but I see him going to greener pastures. Unless they tag him, but I'm not sure they're going to do that.
I don't think so either. I think they're Seattle is looking for more offensive line and helping Wilson get protected. Otherwise, Wilson's going to bounce.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you there.
But I would like to see Rashad Penny get a real opportunity. I believe that in the midst at the end of the 2019 season, he looked really good. So it was a bummer for me. I'm a big fan of Rashad Penny. Hopefully, he gets the chance to prove it. Right.
I mean, he could. It's very possible. It's possible, but I do think they're going to sign a veteran to come in there. I mean, that could be, like I already mentioned, Fournette. It could be a guy like Gus Edwards, who's also a free agent, right? From Baltimore. I said Todd Gurley. You've got man. Who
else? What? I'm starting to fall in love with Fournette in Seattle. I think that's a match made in heaven.
That could be. It could very well be. He's like the right type of person for that offense.
I'm a Fournette truther, by the way.
Okay.
No, really.
I don't see him being re-signed in Tampa. I don't see that at all. Tampa has a lot to sign. They've got Levante David, who's a big piece they want to get. They've got who's their outside? Shaquille Barrett.
Shaquille Barrett and Ndamukong Suh is also a free agent.
They've got some decisions to make.
Yeah.
And I don't think Fournette is in the cards there, but I do see a veteran possibly in Seattle. Like I said, Gus Edwards is a free agent, Todd Gurley, and Fournette we mentioned. That type of size or a power type of back is who I think they might target.
All right. So right now, let's talk about players to sell now.
Okay.
I got two quarterbacks here. Which one you want to talk about first, Jeff? I got Aaron Rodgers and I got Matt Ryan.
Oof. Oh. Well, let's see. Which one would I sell now? Either one.
Both of them.
I would sell either one. I probably would sell Rodgers obviously has more value, right? I mean, we're talking, what did I say he was? 37?
Yeah, 37.
Matt Ryan, 35, will be 36 soon. Matt Ryan's not going anywhere right now. I don't think Atlanta is going to draft a quarterback this year.
Yeah, that's a very important statement. You don't think Atlanta goes for Justin Fields or goes for Trey Lance or one of those guys?
No, I don't. The reason why is because Matt Ryan's cap hit is way too big. It's like $40 million. And it's also that bad if they were to trade him. So they can't release him and they can't really trade him. And they have the 4th overall pick. What do? They don't get a quarterback. In my opinion, they don't. They let Matt Ryan go for another year, right? And start for another year. And then I think the cap hit goes down to $17 million, which is more manageable. And he's older. Yeah. And, the window for Atlanta is closing. I think we have Matt Ryan for one more year. So in that sense, if you're looking for a quarterback in a dynasty league that you might be contending in, that you can get Matt Ryan, get him. Get him for like a 3rd round pick. That 3rd round pick that nobody wants. Get Matt Ryan. If you need a quarterback, Aaron Rodgers is going to be a little bit harder to get because he still has that higher value of that production value, right? But if you can sell him, I would turn around. I would sell Aaron Rodgers as long as you can get something for him, right? Another quarterback plus a pick, or another quarterback plus an up and coming running back or receiver. I still think you can get that. May not necessarily be able to get that with Matt Ryan, but Aaron Rodgers, I think you can. Number one,
I think
Aaron Rodgers, and 2, because of the Packers offense.
Yeah.
So,
and Matty Ice, we've seen him the last few years, 300 plus yards each game. I mean, he's still producing. Even if Julio Jones decides to leave Atlanta, or Atlanta decides to release Julio Jones, I mean, you got what's his name? Oh, I forgot his name right now. Calvin Ridley. My God, Calvin Ridley and Russell Gage. You got a good team there. You got good receivers. You're missing a running back definitely. Atlanta needs a running back desperately. I don't know if they go for a running back on the 4th pick. I don't know.
Impossible.
I don't know if it's too high.
Well, they could go for a running back free agency, or they could go with a running back through the pick. And yeah, I doubt they're going to go for a running back with that 4th pick. But the second round 4th pick,
it could be this linebacker guy. We talked about him last week.
Micah Parsons from Penn State.
They need defense, right?
They've got Deion Jones still, so I mean that's good. He's their linebacker captain, but could they use a linebacker? Yes. Could they use an offensive tackle? Yes.
I mean, they can go. I mean, I don't know. Penny Sewell he's gonna drop to the 4th. I think he's gonna go on the 2nd or 3rd pick. But they can go with another pick. What's his name? Rashawn Slater from Northwestern. They can pick him. They can get him, and definitely be an upgrade from what they have right now.
Right, or they could trade down from pick 4 and get Rashawn Slater in like pick 12 or whatever they trade down to.
Yeah,
because I think he'll be available after that. You've got Sewell, and then you got Slater. I think that you could probably get Slater like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And if they trade down, that would be a good move for them.
You could get a king's ransom for the 4th pick if Justin Fields is still there.
Yeah, exactly. Right, because Cincinnati is not going to take a quarterback who's behind them, right? Philadelphia is 6. I don't think they're going to take a quarterback.
No, they take a wide receiver, right?
But is Atlanta going to want to trade with their division rival Carolina? Probably not. I mean, there's San Francisco could move up. There's options.
You think San Francisco, if they move up, they go for a quarterback?
Oh yeah. If they move up, I think they're going for a quarterback. Now they have the 12th overall pick, and they have the ability to move up. And there's been a lot of talk about them moving up for a quarterback, but there's also been talk about them perhaps, going after a veteran quarterback. Dak Prescott's been talked around. Jameis Winston. I mean, there's a few, but I don't know. In my opinion, I think San Francisco is more going to target a quarterback if they move up. Otherwise, they're just going to go for the best available at pick 12.
Well, guys, if you have Aaron Rodgers right now in your dynasty roster, sell him while you can before he is worth a Snickers bar.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to wait that long, and I'm not sure he'll turn into a Snickers bar. We're not talking Cinderella and a pumpkin here at midnight. However, I do think that you got to get what you can. I mean, like right now, it's too late to sell like certain players. Like, let me think of someone like a Julian Edelman. Right now's not the time to sell him. The time to sell him was like 2 years ago. Aaron Rodgers, the time to sell is like right now. I mean, the guy won MVP. He
had a great season.
He got value, and you can get something in return for him. You definitely can, and now's the time to do it, in my opinion. Because what happens if next year he struggles?
One of the
it could happen.
One of the advices we give to our listeners is that you have to sell when the perceived value is at its highest, right? What can Davante Adams do to elevate his value right now? Nothing. There's literally nowhere to go, right?
Davante Adams is one of those players, one of those age 28 wide receivers who has already arrived. You've got Adams, you've got Hopkins, you've got Keenan Allen, you've got Robert Woods, Odell Beckham. They're all age 28, and they're right around that period of, like I mentioned before, of like age 29, where it's like, this is kind of their peak. Generally, you're not going to see their best season after like his age 29 or 30 year. You're just not going to see it. So if you're going to sell, now's the time to do that. Not necessarily right now, but like this year, where you can get a lot in return for a Davante Adams or a DeAndre Hopkins. And there's going to be people who want them. There's going to be people who want them, obviously.
Well, you right now, what you just said, you should tell my my players at my dynasty league because I got Devontae Adams and I cannot sell him for nothing. Nobody wants him.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know why. I keep offering them, and it's like no. I asked this guy. Hear this. I don't know if I'm asking for too much, but you tell me.
I mean, now's the time to sell him. Just like last year was the time to sell Alvin Kamara because you knew that Drew Brees and Michael Thomas because you knew that Drew Brees was
on the way down,
retiring, right? I mean, here's a guy who has how many 5,000 yard seasons? Nobody else has more than one. Nobody has more than one 5,000 yard season, except for Brees. That's amazing itself, but
no, he's a great quarterback. He's going to Canton no matter what.
Right.
But yeah,
right.
I mean,
he's gone. What's going to happen with the Saints? What's going to happen with Michael Thomas? What's going to happen with Alvin Kamara? My guess is whoever is in that quarterback, if it's Winston, if it is,
I like Winston. I like Winston. I like him for that job. I like him for that job.
Yeah, and people are also talking about Winston in Washington, which is interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting because it could make Scary Terry very, very valuable.
Oh yeah. It could. Now, if Winston stays in New Orleans, then the value of Michael Thomas and the value of Alvin Kamara is still afloat. But if it's Taysom Hill or if it's who knows who, then
Rick loves Taysom Hill.
Then there's a drop in perceived value for those. And when should you sell? You probably should have sold last year. But I mean, Thomas got hurt. You can't really sell when he's hurt. So
okay, here it is, Jeff. I got Devontae Adams. My best running back is David Montgomery and Fournette, of course.
I think you should sell Montgomery if you can. I mean, he had a strong second half of the year, but a lot of that was because they had a really good running back matchup, against defenses that weren't very good against running backs.
Detroit 2 times, Green Bay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
you think I should sell? You think I should sell Montgomery?
I think you should. I mean, if you can get some good value for him, yes, I do.
Okay. Now the question: is he worth a first round pick?
Well, it depends on the buyer. I probably would not buy him for a first round pick. I would probably do a second round pick.
An early second?
Yeah. I mean, it just depends on when you can sell him. I mean, if you wait and, maybe he has, I don't know what their schedule is going to be yet, right? But maybe he's got a good first couple weeks. I would try to sell him then.
Okay, now going back to the Devontae Adams trade. I offered Devontae Adams, and this guy had 3 players. I told him any combination of these 3. Justin Jefferson, Cam Akers, and Antonio Gibson. And he said no to any combination of those.
Wow, he wouldn't sell any one of those for Adams?
He was asking 2 of them.
I was asking for 2 for 1.
Okay.
2 for 1.
It was... We need to say that squad in particular is loaded. I mean, loaded with running backs, and his best receiver is Justin Jefferson.
So for a guy like Adams, what I would look to target is a comparable receiver. Obviously, no one's going to come close to Adams, right? Because he's always in the top 5. But a comparable receiver, and it doesn't have to be Justin Jefferson, who's thought of, or like an AJ Brown, who's thought of as like a top 3 dynasty wide receiver. You can put Tyreek Hill in that mix as well. I would target a different receiver, maybe someone like a Michael Pittman, and picks. Like a first round pick in 2021, a first round pick in 2022, or something like that, where you could get Pittman and then have picks that you can produce other players for.
Right. Yeah, that can flip those picks for
if you give someone that package deal, that 1-2 for Adams, they might be like, no, I'm going to keep my strong 2 rather than have 1 who's 28 years old right now, right? Mm-hmm. I can see their end saying, no, not quite good enough for me. If you want to sell them, you want to get someone that you can start as a wide receiver every week, and you want to get someone fairly young so that you don't have to go through this process again in another year, and you want to get picks as a result.
You just gave me an idea right now where I can trade Adams for, like you said, like a Michael Pittman, someone we call in Spanish Miguel Pitombre Chico. And I can get picks and then just flip those picks for other players.
Absolutely. Right. And like
closer to the draft.
Yeah, you want to try to sell your picks now. Well, there's some perceived value of those picks, right? Because we're coming up on the draft. Generally, we have the combine now, so picks are like, whoa, picks are really popular. But we're going to get pro day results here soon. Therefore, the picks are going to be big. So if you could sell your picks with the perceived value that they are right now for a player that you know that you can start, do it. And then as the draft gets closer, then you could try to sell some of those players that are on your roster that are maybe your wide receiver 3 or maybe your running back 2 and turn that into a pick. And then you get younger and you also might get better as a result of that pick and that trade. Remember, I also talked about the Adam Thielen trades, trading him now, buy him now for like a second round pick. And then as the draft approaches, or even during the draft, even better, trade him for a first round pick.
A late first.
Last section of this fabulous podcast that we have here with Jeff Haseley from Football Guys. I want to talk about running backs to sell. I got a small list here. Let's go through it. Josh Jacobs, Leonard Fournette, Melvin Gordon, and Aaron Jones. As you can see, I'm a Las Vegas Raider for life. Josh Jacobs, I think right now it could be a good time to sell with his value perception pretty high, and you can get. I think you can get a first round pick from.
I would hold on to Josh Jacobs right now. We already know what he's capable of. Plus, he's only 22. Yeah, I mean, he came out as a junior, right? And he was almost barely 21.
Yeah.
Now he's still only 22. He's the absolute top target of a running back for the team, and I don't think they're going to target any running back anytime soon that's going to take his place.
No, definitely not.
And he's only 22 years old. He hasn't hit his peak yet. So I would keep Jacobs.
Would you sell him for a first round pick or no?
I got an offer. I refused it. I
would sell him for an early first round pick and then another running back. Yes. Like if you could sell him for another running back plus an early first round pick, like a 3, 4, or 5 that you could get like a Javonte Williams with. So if you could turn Josh Jacobs into a first round pick a running back. Let's throw a running back in here. Any running back.
Etienne?
Zach Moss or something. Or someone that you can kind of start who's not that. Oh man,
that's
who would
horrible.
be a good running back for that? Maybe like a who would be good for that?
Myles Gaskin from Miami.
No, because I think Miami is going to draft a running back. I think that, like maybe someone like a Kenyon Drake.
Okay.
A Kenyon Drake plus a first round pick.
A top pick or a top 5.
Then you could have Drake, and then you could have like a Javonte Williams player or Travis Etienne, even better. I like Etienne. I like Etienne.
Yeah.
For Josh Jacobs. Now, whoever you're trading to doesn't know that you're going to take a running back with that pick. So they're just thinking, I could get Josh Jacobs for a first round pick. And this other guy that I'm not sure what's going to happen to him. And that other guy is Kenyon Drake. Is Arizona going to sign him? Is he going to go elsewhere? They don't know yet, right? Who's another running back that you could potentially be in that deal? Maybe.
Cam Akers.
No, Cam Akers has too much value. Too much value. He's not that far down from
Ronald Jones, maybe.
I wouldn't want Ronald Jones.
No, I don't like Ronald Jones.
That's a possibility, but I don't think Ronald Jones is. I think we've seen his peak. Who's another? Maybe you might be able to get like a Miles Sanders. Maybe.
I don't like it.
What do you think? Oh, now that you brought up Miles Sanders, what do you think of his value dynasty-wise with Wentz leaving Philadelphia, and now that Hurts is going to be QB1 most likely?
Yeah, I mean, Philly right now, in my opinion, is rebuilding. So we're not really sure what their offense is going to be like. I think they made a mistake with Jalen Reagor in between CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson, and they pick Reagor.
Yeah.
That's, nothing against Reagor here, but that was a bad pick.
To be honest with you, when before the draft, I really wanted CeeDee Lamb to go to the Raiders because I thought he was that alpha. He was that wide receiver one that the Raiders needed. And when they drafted Ruggs, I was like,
yeah, exactly. Right. You want speed. It's still Al Davis's team, right?
Yeah.
I get it, right? I understand, but I also don't get it at the same time. Ruggs is not a wide receiver one type of person. He's a complementary receiver. He's a role player. He's a niche skill. Not everyone can be Tyreek Hill.
I think that's what the Raiders were looking for. They were looking for the next Tyreek Hill.
Right. Which is probably what we might see with Rondale Moore this year.
I love that guy. Rondale Moore.
Yeah, I like him too.
And
right?
Rashad Bateman. I love those two guys.
That Tyreek Hill, that young, Jarvis Landry is another one that's kind of similar, right? Everyone's looking for that type of player, and it really depends on the offense. Depends on your coaching staff. Depends on your offensive coordinator, your quarterback. It's hard to. I mean, you put Tyreek Hill on the Eagles. Is he that good? No,
probably not.
No, he's not. He just isn't. He's fast. He's speedy. But not everyone. But there's speed everywhere. It just depends on how you utilize it.
I mean, whoever you put in Kansas right now is going to be great. That's that. I think that's the situation. Right. Watkins sucked before being in Kansas, and suddenly he is like, a very usable fantasy wide receiver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Melvin Gordon,
mm-hmm.
Sell or buy?
Well, he's 27, so he's getting up to that age. I would try to sell him. If there's a running back that's 27 years old, 26 even, I would put him on that sell block. I would try to sell Melvin Gordon. Could he have another good year with Denver? Yeah, absolutely he can. Plus, Philip Lindsay is a free agent. He may not stay with Denver. He might go. And therefore, it's the Melvin Gordon show, right? Yeah. But what happens when Denver says, you know what? I'm going to draft a running back. Then what? So Melvin Gordon, in my opinion, he still has production value with him. But at the same time, you want to get what you can before it's too late. He's not a Snickers bar yet, as you mentioned, but he's getting close to that point. And, like Le'Veon Bell, right? Le'Veon Bell had all the power, all the value, and then he sat out that year, right?
And that was it.
That's it. Yeah. David Johnson, kind of the same,
Don't talk about David Johnson. I remember I had the first pick of my home league a few years ago, and I was deciding between David Johnson and Le'Veon Bell. And I remember my friend called me. He had second pick, and he was like, "Hey, who are you choosing?" And it was like the day before, and I'm like, "I think I'm going to choose David Johnson." I was like, "Okay, yeah. I'm going to." He told me, "I'm choosing whoever you don't choose from Le'Veon or David Johnson." And I told him, "I think I'm going with David Johnson." So I go with David Johnson. I'm really happy with my draft. First game, first play, and David Johnson's out.
And there goes the wrist.
Yeah, and there goes the season.
Yeah, it was the first week, that injury. That was a stunner.
Yeah, I was like, thanks a lot. And then I think Le'Veon Bell had like 2,000 million points that season. And I was like, God, I was one decision away. But okay, that's what happens.
We always are.
Aaron Jones, I think it's a great player. I think wherever he goes, my opinion, he's going to do very well.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think he'll do as well as he did in Green Bay's offense.
No, definitely not. So that's why I think Aaron Jones is sell high right now. Perception is really high. He comes from 2 seasons where he has been really, really good. I don't know. You know what? I mean, you're more knowledgeable on this, Jeff. But I think he gets tagged and on a sign and trade sort of deal.
Yeah, I mean, you mean he gets tagged, but then they trade him?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think Aaron Jones is playing for Green Bay next year. However that happens is however it happens. Because I think that they've already put the pieces in place with A.J. Dillon, and I think they're going to re-sign Jamal Williams.
A.J. Dillon looked awesome last year at the end of the
year. It's a big
year.
piece of that offense.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see necessarily like a stud, true RB1 running back in Green Bay next year. I think it's going to be a mixture of Dillon and Williams.
So Aaron Jones.
Who would you rather have between
of those two? Who would I rather have?
Yeah,
Williams, because he catches more.
Yeah, he can be McKissick's. He can be the McKissick of 2021.
Yeah, that's a very good comparison. Is J.D. McKissick in terms of what his role is on the team?
Yeah.
And I mean Antonio Gibson, who I like, James Robinson, who I like, and they're both young. Gibson and Robinson are only 22.
Lots of years left.
Lots of years, exactly. And
Robinson can be in a very good situation with Trevor Lawrence, where he gets, there's an upgrade on the passing game in Jacksonville. That opens up lanes for Robinson.
Yeah, and the only other thing that I'm worried about with him, I've got a couple different dynasty shares of James Robinson, so I'm liking him. I want him. He is a hold for me. Is the only thing I'm slightly concerned about is, like I said, the 5 picks in the top 65, and what do they have? 12 picks, I think, in the draft. They've got 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 2 fourths, 2 fifths, and 2 sevenths. Plus a third.
They got half the draft. So you think they might go for a running back, one of those studs?
It's possible. Now, is that one running back going to be someone who's going to take away carries? I don't know. Probably not. But you never know. You never know where the carry share is going to lie. I mean, James Robinson showed that he could do it all as a rusher, as a receiver, as a constant threat to handle the volume. So there's no reason to think that might change. However, this is a new coaching staff now.
And it's the Jacksonville Jaguars that we know they make decisions with their...
Right. And we also don't know how Urban Meyer is going to run the offense.
Yeah.
So is he going to use Robinson the same way he was used with, the heck was his name?
Peterson.
The coach from Jacksonville.
Peterson, right? Doug Merrill.
Sorry. It was escaping me there. So, I mean, there's a little bit of concern. And I can understand certain people saying, you know what, I want to sell him because his value is high. I don't know if it's going to get higher. I get that. But he's also, again, only 22 years old. And we've seen what he can do as a rusher and receiver. So if he turns into Superman in Urban Meyer's offense, then you're going to wish you still had him.
To close out this show, Jeff, Will Fuller, one of the most coveted wide receivers in this coming free agency. What do you think? Is he a hold or a sell?
I would say that he's more of a sell. He hasn't really put together a full season ever.
No.
And we know that he had really good rapport with Deshaun Watson. Like they could complete each other's sentences, and he knew what his tendency was as far as routes. He knew that he could get beat his defender, and Watson knew that he could get him deep. Is he going to have that same type of rapport with another quarterback? We don't know. And we also don't know if he's going to be healthy. He already has 1 strike against him with the not substance use, but the
performance
enhancing drugs, right? So if he gets another tick there, guess what? That's 8 games that he'll have to miss. And he already is going to miss 1 week, week 1, because he has to finish his 6th game suspension, right? So
right.
There's a little bit of uncertainty there. And when there's uncertainty, then I say sell.
Right.
I wouldn't buy him. I think he could potentially go to Carolina. That's a possibility. You got Sean Ryan, who's now the the quarterback coach for the Panthers, who was also with Houston during that time. So he's already familiar with Fuller. So that's a possibility. There's that coach-player relationship there. And if Carolina loses Curtis Samuel, well, they might be looking at signing a Will Fuller. Now, do I think that they should go ahead and use free agent dollars on Will Fuller? No, I don't think Carolina should do that. However, it could happen. But I would sell on Will Fuller. I think that he is someone who most likely won't have as much value in production as he did this past year and years past.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And that report with Watson was very tangible for all of us. I think it was, I had him not last year, but 2 years ago in one of the redraft leagues that I play in. And I kind of matched, there was one good game, one bad game, one good game, one bad game. And I was able to ride that wave for like 6 weeks. Where he will give you like 22 fantasy points, and the next game I will bench him and he'll give you like 2 points. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, that's never good to remember things like that because it happens. And unfortunately, it happens with certain types of players, it seems. You know, it's like, I picked the wrong week to start DJ Moore.
And DJ Moore, that was for 2020. That was the thing with him last year.
But you can't not start him. You just have to hope that he does well. I mean, he did really well this past year, but he only scored twice.
They're the greatest points to have on your bench, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to bench DJ Moore. You just got to hope that he, produces.
Right.
DJ Moore was the king of points in the bench for me last year.
Yeah.
Every time I bench him, the only way that DJ Moore would score points is if he was on my bench.
Yeah, right.
Everyone has gone through that, man. It's not you.
And if it's not DJ Moore, it's someone else. I with my second round pick in one of the leagues, I picked Kenny G last year, and I hold on to him all year. And I remember one guy offered me a trade. It's a redraft league. And I was like, no, Kenny G, I believe in you. He's going to come back. He's going to come back strong. Detroit is throwing the ball out there. He's gonna give me some points. And he just gave me a banana. That's what all he gave me.
Jeff, I would like to say something.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing I really like about Dynasty, right? That you construct your roster and you don't have to worry that much about the lineup decisions because you have your roster beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
What is the thing that you like the most about Dynasty leagues? And if so, do you like them more than redraft or
well, I do like redraft. Favorite? I like redraft leagues, but I also like Dynasty. I like IDP leagues. I like it all. For me, Dynasty is such a challenge, and it's almost like kind of like Superflex is also a big challenge. Everyone likes the Superflex because there's just more strategy involved. And in my opinion, that Dynasty is all about strategy. It's all strategy. Because nobody can have like a good team for long unless they're good at figuring out how they can continue to always grow and develop. You know what I mean? Right. So you always have to be thinking, moving, picking up, adding pieces, removing pieces, trading pieces, adding picks, trading picks, getting rid of players that aren't going to be that good in 2 years from now, finding players that are good for one more year that you can buy at a discount. Like what if you traded for, like I said, all right, like what if you traded for Tom Brady last year? Everyone's thinking Tom Brady, gosh, he's what? Dynasty quarterback, he's way down the list. But he still was able to produce.
Yeah.
I mean, what if you traded like a third round pick for Tom Brady last year, and you definitely got your value there, right?
If you were a quarterback away,
right, exactly. If you were like a quarterback away, you had every other piece, and then you needed anyone. Give me Tom Brady. I don't care. Of course, the other team's going to be like, yeah, all right, shoot. I don't know what he's going to do with Tampa. Plus, he's 43 years old. Heck, this might be the only time I can sell him. And it might not necessarily be Brady, but it could be Matt Ryan. I think he's good in that category. Perhaps like a Ben Roethlisberger for one more year. But this is something we haven't talked about yet, and that's the value of Pittsburgh players. I think you sell Pittsburgh players right now.
I sold Deontay Johnson for a first-round pick.
Wow, that's great. I think you sell Deontay Johnson. I think you sell Chase Claypool. I think you can sell. I sold last year James Conner before he got hurt.
Oh, that's good.
For a second-round pick, and I'll take that. At the time, I'm thinking a second-round pick, I guess. And it was my proposal, so I was the one who wanted something, and I was thinking a second-round pick. Yeah, I think I can get that for Conner, right? And it turns out right now, I mean, I think everyone would take a second-round pick for James Conner because he's not going back to Pittsburgh. We don't know where he's going to go, and we don't know how much volume he's going to get when he gets there. We don't know that. Could he go to perhaps to Seattle? Yeah, maybe, but he's not quite that Seattle type of back. But yeah, so Pittsburgh players, I think you're selling because I think Roethlisberger is going to have a shaky year. And I just said, well, maybe you could trade for him. I don't see the value in Roethlisberger after this particular year. And therefore, I'm thinking that
sell while you can.
Sell while you can. Yeah, you're selling high on Pittsburgh receivers. Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson. Really good receivers. But one, can Claypool, who's going to be the alpha dog there? Is it Claypool or is it Johnson? Because you don't know that, sell them both.
Right. And after Roethlisberger, there's always the possibility of quarterback limbo, right?
Well, right. They've got, first of all, they've got a new offensive coordinator and Matt Canada, who we think that there's going to be more running in Pittsburgh's future. Most likely they're going to draft a running back that can do that. They might wind up with like a Javonte Williams. They might wind up with Travis Etienne. Or they might wind up with, I don't know if they're going to do this. I doubt they do, but they could wind up with like an Aaron Jones. They're going to have a strong, steady running back next year. And I think they're going to run the ball more than what they have in the past. I don't think we're going to see a 4,500 yard season from Ben Roethlisberger. I don't. Plus, he also gets hurt more often, and we already know that he's thinking about retirement. Remember that whole image of him sitting on the bench?
Yeah.
Going like this, like, oh my God, my career's over. Right?
Yeah,
Remember that? We're all thinking, holy cow, Ben Roethlisberger needs a friend.
Oh, that's funny.
And now he's got a new offensive coordinator. Do you think he really wants to be there for another year? I just don't.
Learn a new system and what?
Yeah, I actually am surprised that he didn't retire. To be honest with you, once they lost their coordinator, and his center, Mike, the Pouncey brothers.
Yeah. There's like 40 million reasons
retired.
Not to retire.
So I'm sketchy on Roethlisberger this year. Is he? Let's just say he does. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. Let's just say he does have something left in him, and maybe we figure this out by week 3 or week 4. Then maybe he's someone that you could target as a quarterback that you can get as a a 1-year rental as a trade. But for right now, no. I'm thinking you sell him if you can. You're not going to sell him. You're probably not going to sell him. But as far as the other Steelers, yeah, I think you sell them.
For sure.
I think they'll be rebuilding soon. They're going to need a quarterback. Could they draft a quarterback? Yes, they could, but they don't have the picks. They don't have a pick until pick 24.
And so none of the good quarterbacks are going to be available at that point.
They need offensive line. They're losing Villanueva. They don't have him. Pouncey's gone. They need help. They need help.
Yep. That's correct. So the tip for the day is sell all the receivers from Pittsburgh, all of them.
In my opinion, yes. Now, there might be someone who's like, what? Are you kidding? No way. Chase Claypool, 11 touchdowns as a rookie? Woohoo! Right?
Find that guy and trade.
Find that guy and sell him.
Yes, exactly. Find that guy. That's what I did. I traded Deontay Johnson for a first-round pick.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think about, like, Bill Belichick. What would he do? Granted, he traded Tom Brady away a little bit too early. But if anyone's going to sell a player a year before he's peaked, it's Belichick, right? Or not before he's peaked. a year before. How's it saying?
He declines.
Right. You want to get rid of a player before it's too late, right? That's the complete Belichick way, right? That's how New England did things.
And for some reason, Belichick knows the formula. He has like a crystal ball where he sees the future, crystal ball where he sees the future. He's like, no, this is the year. Get rid of him.
Slide rule. He has everything. Yes. So if I'm Belichick, that's kind of what I'm doing there. Is selling while you can.
All right.
Sell on Pittsburgh players. Sell them all.
You sell on Pittsburgh players. I think you kind of sell on Philadelphia players right now. Shoot, I wouldn't. I think you sell low on Jalen Reagor. I just don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know. He had one touchdown last year, and he's a rookie, right? I get it. And they're moving on. They've got a new quarterback. But is that quarterback going to be passing a lot downfield? We don't know that. Probably not.
He's going to be running more.
He's going to be running more. And Philadelphia is just they got a new coach, a new system. I just think they're rebuilding. I don't know what you can get for a Reagor, but you might want to try and get something. Wow. I don't know. I kind of am buying the Jets because I think that the Jets are going to draft Zach Wilson. I like what their offensive coordinator, who is Robert Saleh, is the new head coach, right, from San Francisco, defensive mind. But he brought over the offensive coordinator from Kyle Shanahan, Mike LaFleur. And Mike LaFleur comes from the Shanahan style of offense that's innovative, right? That's fast-paced, that is quick to come up with a wrinkle in the offense. And I can see, I really, really, really like Zach Wilson as a downfield thrower. He's extremely accurate as a downfield passer. And the Jets, like Denzel Mims, is someone
I love that guy. Mims, I love that guy. Jamison
Crowder, who actually may have more value with Sam Darnold, because it seemed like the two were like
I'm thinking, right?
Same, yes, exactly. Now, can he get that way with Wilson? Sure, yeah, he can. But I think the downfield threat of like Denzel Mims is what Zach Wilson is going to gravitate to more. So I like Denzel Mims. I like Zach Wilson in New York, if indeed he is picked as the second overall pick. Who else? What other teams? Raiders. I mean, we could talk about. We've talked about the Raiders. Shoot, I don't know.
Well, the Texans are going to need a quarterback. The Texans are going to need.
What are the Texans going to do? Talk about a team that is just running away.
Yeah.
From their fan base.
Yeah.
Which is sad. But Houston has to do something. What are they going to do with Watson? That's going to be the biggest story of the offseason, is what happens with Deshaun Watson and when does it happen? Because the longer this stalemate plays out, the worse it is for every party. The worse it is for Houston, the worse it is for Watson, and the worse it is for the player that will be getting Watson, if indeed they do trade him. Because if they wait, then that means that they're not going to be able to get as much in return as they would right now, because teams are already looking to put their plan into action, and they're going to want to have their quarterback in that plan. If they don't know who that quarterback is,
there's a lot of logistics with that kind of contract, right?
Well, it's not necessarily the contract. I like his contract at $29 million a year. That's better than some other quarterbacks. That's less than Carson Wentz. Less than who else? Jared Goff. I would take that. And you don't have to. He's signed through 2025. You don't have to worry about that. Plus, his signing bonus is already paid for, so there's no dead cap hit if they ever needed to. The question is, what can Houston get in return? And, there's a lot right now. They're talking about like 3 first-round picks. I think Miami has the best chance to get Watson because they have, first of all, they've got, in terms of picks, they've got 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. And that first-round pick is the number 3 overall pick. If they included him plus Tua in this deal,
it'll be a done deal with the Texans. They'll take it.
Right, and Houston will probably try to get a little bit more from Miami, but Miami has the picks to do that. So, and they have Tua that they could just dangle and say, you know what, Houston, we want Watson. We'll give you a nice little shiny present here in Tua, and we're also going to give you the 3rd overall pick, and plus whatever else, maybe a 2022 pick or something, whatever. That would be more enticing. I think they have the best chance to land Watson. The question is, do they want to move on from Tua or not? And of course, does Houston want to trade Watson? Because right now,
it doesn't seem like they want to trade.
No, they're waiting. They're thinking, we can fix this, but Watson's saying no.
Not. I don't think they can fix that, and I don't think I can fix that. Well, Jeff, we really want to thank you for being here with us. Really appreciate you coming to shed some knowledge with us, with all our fan base. Please, if you can tell the audience your social networks where they can follow you.
Sure, yeah. You can follow me on Twitter at Jeff Haseley. And you can find my work at footballguys.com and my rankings and my rookie information and my, all that. I appreciate you guys coming, or I appreciate you guys having me on, and a best of luck to you and your podcast. And thanks so much. Definitely appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff.
We really appreciate you coming here. Like I said, sharing all this dynasty knowledge from you, from the Football Guys crew. Thanks, and hope to see you soon here at the podcast again at a very near time, Jeff.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, guys. Follow us. Gracias. Follow us at Nacion Fantasy on Facebook, at Nacion Fantasy MX and on Twitter. And if you have questions regarding Dynasty or Redraft, I know it's a little bit early for Redraft, but Dynasty, we are in full Dynasty mode all day, every day. Can't stop, won't stop. Thanks a lot for listening. Have a great one. See you guys next time.
Adios.